here for another episode of Multiplex Loves Movies. This is episode number 7, and today we are talking about something I am very excited about, and that is Stephen King's It. This is we're going to be talking about the 1990 miniseries as well as the 2017 movie and our anticipation levels for the new one, It Chapter 2, coming out into theaters this weekend. I've got a couple great panelists here with me, starting off with Richard. Richard Schwartz, how you doing? Do you like these movies?
First of all, I'm doing good, and yep, I do love both the original and the new one. It was a both enjoyable film, and I'm looking forward to discussing it.
Absolutely. And the next panelist tonight is no one other than Doug Castle. Jay Burns is also in the chat. Chonky Boys for
Chonky
life.
Boys for
There
life.
you go. Doug, how you doing? I know that you're a pretty diehard fan of not only the miniseries and the movie, but also the book. I know you have some ink for
I do.
So
I do.
talk about your fandom.
It's literally the first horror movie I've ever seen. Was the 1990 miniseries. People don't consider it a movie, but let's be honest, it's a made-for-TV movie. It's just like for Netflix. So, and I was really surprised with how much I loved the 2017 adaptation. It fit the tone of a Stephen King's world really well. Just in all honesty, it embodies a lot of being able to believe in yourself. A lot of people are like, well, it's horror and it's killing. I'm like, but you can believe in yourself in those events. Like, and it shows you that you have the ability to overcome anything that is trying to beat you down.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are gonna dive right in. If you are in the chat, if you're watching live, please in the chat. We'll maybe throw your comment up on the screen, but we want to have the conversation with you. This show is all about just like people talking about movies, enjoying movies, loving movies. That's the gist of it. So we will start off with that 1990 miniseries. I'll go ahead and start. My first exposure to this was as a kid. A friend of mine had this thing on VHS, and like I thought it was like super taboo. Like he like brought it over, and it was like, we're gonna watch it. It's the one with the clown in the sewer, and that was like the creepy thing. And I remember watching it and thinking that it was not scary whatsoever. Granted, by this time I had already seen like Alien and Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street and everything, but just for some reason, up to that point, it had been like I said, the taboo thing of like the evil clown in the sewer that like eats people. That was supposed to be like super scary. I didn't find it that scary. And I honestly hadn't seen it again until in its entirety until about 3 days ago. So I'll get into a little bit more on my feelings, but Richard, how did you first come to it?
Again, also for me, this was a movie I grew up as a kid, and I was actually kind of the opposite of you. This was one of the few movies that I was kind of terrified about, just because I didn't watch many horror movies when I was as a child. It's kind of like sheltered from that, so one of the first experience was this movie, and I wasn't a fan of clowns, and this movie did not help it. I love this movie. I love the cast that they had for the kids and the adults. The only thing I didn't like was that kind of ending moment with the monster, but overall I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Doug, what you already talked about your fandom a little bit, but like how did you come to this one specifically?
So I came to this one really early. I probably shouldn't have watched it. 1990 was I was about 3 years old, and I got to sit down on the couch with two of my best friends at that young age and sit there and watch the movie when we weren't supposed to watch the movie. We were like, oh, we're good. We're adventurous.
Yeah.
It's one of my early memories of childhood, and at the age of 11 I got the book, so like it just fed into it, and I've seen it like almost every year since I saw it for the first time. So it literally became a birthday tradition to start reading the book when I was right when my birthday happened. because there's a big scene. You guys see the Rock War in the movie. Well, in the movie, they don't explain the date. And I didn't realize this until much later and hold value to it till much later, but it happens on my birthday.
Okay.
Literally, the Rock fight happens on my birthday, and that's like one of the key moments to them becoming the loser cub. And it's like,
Oh yeah.
it kind of sticks with you. Uh, from Tim Curry's performance all the way down to the kids. I actually don't hate the adults as most people do. Um, I really actually genuinely like their performance that they give. It's not the greatest, but I enjoy it. If that makes sense.
I feel like I think we're very like spread out here. Like Doug is very like hardcore, like loves this thing. Richard likes it a lot, maybe even loves it, and I'm just kind of like whatever. It's not for me. And I think a main reason of that is when you see it. Like I saw it maybe I was maybe 11 or 12, but like I said, by that point I had already seen some other stuff that was maybe a little more scary. And I think when I watched it the other day, I didn't hate it, but it's just like I've been spoiled by other things, and I really, really like the 2017 one. So we'll get to that. And I've also read the book. I've only read it once. I read it in high school, like my senior year of high school. So I think that also has a large factor into it, is that like I think it's not that people hate the adult versions of the Losers Club. I think it's just that like even in the book, that's just the part of the story that to most people isn't as interesting. Like I actually like that part of the story. I feel like it was rushed in the mini series. Like they didn't give enough time to fully flesh out that part of the story. Whereas like I feel like giving an entire 3-hour epic thing that we're gonna get this weekend will probably help that a little bit. But I don't hate the adult. What do you think, Richard? The adult part of it?
I mean, I personally like the adult part. Like I said, the only thing I really had a problem with was the final boss fight, where I like to call it. Like, I just thought that was kind of dumb.
Where they just kind of kick it or whatever.
Yeah. But what I really liked about this movie too is like the level of star power that this film had at the time. I mean, you didn't really know them at the time, but like going forward, like you had Seth Green as one of the kids, Jonathan Brandis, talented dude from Sequest to Ladybugs. He was a really standout performance in that. You had John Ritter. You had the father from Sister, Annette O'Toole. She played the original Lon Langan. She was in Smallville. And I thought the original cast for the kids and adults really worked with one another. And that was I liked the chemistry a lot when it came to the original.
I think the other thing too is like I know I said we'll split up the 90s and 17, but there's so many comparisons to them. I like the setting of the 80s, I think, just more than the setting of like the late 50s, early 60s. So I think that also has a big part of it. And for a 3-hour like mini series of 2 parts put together, I just feel like that nothing is expanded as much as I wanted. Like I wanted more of the kids, I wanted more of the adults, I wanted more of Pennywise, but I didn't get enough of everything. It was all just like the highlights of the book, but nothing like super super done the way that I wanted it to.
I mean, you also got taken the fact that they're on a network that they couldn't do.
Miniseries, it was actually supposed to be a full-fledged series until ABC swiped it.
Yeah.
Until they make it smaller. Yeah, it was supposed to be like, because the people that were writing it was like, it's this epic tale. How are we supposed to do it in 2 nights? Or, let's spread it out to being like a few weeks at least. So they cut it short. They were like, no, you got to do it in 2 days. So that's why it's like you miss a lot of that heart that wasn't in the book. But at the same time, you get a lot of greatness from the childhood part.
I mean, like you're talking about ABC, like for like ABC, like it's a kids kind of channel, and like it was still kind of creepy. I don't know if you guys saw the honest trailers from Screen Junkies today. It was on the original miniseries. So they mentioned that those like it was pretty creepy for it being on ABC. Yeah, and it came after America's Funniest Videos and the other one. So for that, I had to give it props for what it did at the time.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is like, you could tell they're holding back, like even for the 90s, like you could just tell they're holding back. And if they had made like this 3-hour like into a movie, like you can definitely get more out of that because there are sequences like right at the beginning even, or just the Georgie scene at the with the in the sewer, like much more violent in the 2017 version. Could have been done a lot differently, but you're on ABC, a family channel, as Richard said. Like you're kind of your hands are a little tied. So it's just, wait, how long has Disney owned ABC? They weren't. This wasn't a Disney thing.
It's been since the 90s at least.
They've owned it for quite a while.
Because it was even they were owning it even for when they were doing the
it had to be,
TGIF
like,
with
the 90s.
Boy Meets World, Family Met Step by Step. That was owned by Disney at the time still.
So this was a Disney thing, technically.
I'm guessing maybe.
I'm assuming
it
so.
might have
I'm
been
not positive. I'm
Buena
not 100.
Vista
percent
thing.
Because at
Right.
the time when this came out,
Yeah.
I was 5 and I didn't care
They
about this type of
definitely
things.
Push the envelope though.
Yeah, no, they definitely did for sure. Is there anything? Well, actually, we should probably talk about the biggest thing with this, and that's Tim Curry. So again, I am not super attached to him as Pennywise. When I read the book, it was all I kind of had to go off of. But again, I had only seen it the one time as a kid, so I had seen like extra clips and stuff on YouTube. But his version of it was kind of what his version of it was what I was imagining while I was reading the book. But I think he's fine as Pennywise. I think the character in the book, there's a lot more layers to not only Pennywise but it that doesn't come across in the miniseries. Like, what about you, Richard?
I would have to say, compared to the two, Tim Curry did the better job than Bill Skarsgård because of what the clown for Pennywise. I haven't read the book, unfortunately.
Okay.
For what the clown's supposed to do to lure children and also get the creepiness and the joyful of a clown, I thought Tim Curry did a better job than the 2017's It. Because I like Bill Skarsgård's It. His creepiness was great on, but trying to play the lovable clown, he just came off as creepy, in my opinion, the whole time. And as a kid, I wouldn't go near that clown or reaching for that boat.
Sure, I guess that makes sense. It's, you got like Georgie like sitting there like trying to like get his boat, and which clown is more doing the job of being like, well, hey there, Georgie, you want to come get some popcorn?
And I also felt like I'm saying, Tim Curry, like he played the playfulness, but he was also the creepy clown too. He played both parts really well. Where I feel like Bill Skarsgård played the creepiness better than the playfulness that he needed to be at the time.
Well, I guess, Doug, see if you can answer the question here for me. Like, the point of Pennywise, like Richard said, is to be not attractive, like hot, but you're a clown. You're attracting the kids because kids tend to like clowns. So Tim Curry's Pennywise is, like very colorful, vibrant, and then so that is that like. But I don't feel like that's the gist of what it was in the book. I feel like in the book he was a grimy looking, and you only saw him like in the shadows. So like when Georgie's kind of looking in there, he might look appealing, might not. He's not really sure until he gets closer, and you see all the drool and shit dripping out of his mouth.
So with Pennywise, what you get is what you see in the book. It's kind of Bill Skarsgård kind of did it justice when it comes to the book tone, because you notice Georgie is kind of uneasy at points. Georgie was uneasy at points when he originally saw. I'm pretty sure that Pennywise actually only attacks in that glamour form when he knows that he can get that person. He's never actually really attacked in a glamour form because he's pretty much what's known as a glamour throughout all mythology. They go deep into it into the book.
Those
Pennywise
turtles will fuck him up.
Yeah, pretty much. Pennywise is only his is one of his favorite forms. It's not the one that he uses in to lure most children. Back in the day when circuses were around, he used that form, and he used it in 1950 because he made jokes out of it a little bit. And you hear Bill Skarsgård say the jokes. The wind blew me away.
Blew the whole circus away.
Blew the whole circus away. You can smell it, can't you, Georgie? It's something that I really enjoy in the book. Not so much in the miniseries. I think Tim Curry just literally took a page out of like John Wayne Gacy, where he was very friendly to children. Ronald McDonald, he was very friendly to children. With that being said, I love Tim Curry's performance. I think it's something that, without that performance, you wouldn't have had anything really to go off of with Bill Skarsgård, and realize that it's actually closer to the book with Bill.
Again, for me, not having read the book, like if I was a demonic clown trying to get a kid, I think Tim Curry did the better job. Like, I mean, as becoming a kid itself, I would be a lot safer with Tim Curry's clown than I would Bill Skarsgård. I wouldn't have even gotten near that sewer for Bill Skarsgård. Just that creepy smile.
So the difference between us now and when we were about 6 and 7 is 100% different.
I know.
Our reaction to something like that happening, and the ability that his glamour can give off, which is you can smell things, you can feel things, you can hear things. So that's a big part with Pennywise. Sorry if I'm deep diving a little bit outside.
No, go ahead.
But that's a big thing with Pennywise. Pennywise is all about salting the meat. He wants to feel comfortable, and then he wants to terrify the shit out of you above all else, because without being scared and having fear, your meat doesn't taste good to him.
They address that in the movie at a point.
Yeah, they do. With Tim Curry, they addressed it as, I am the eater of worlds. And that whole speech that Tim Curry gives, and then pretty much, you just go with the kid saying, well, maybe he's trying to scare us to make us, taste better. Fear is something that does it. No, but yeah, absolutely. I think both performances, while drastically different, were unique and gave something of themselves.
I also love both.
They match the tone and what they're going for those movies. For a miniseries that came out in the 90s, and for a Pennywise that was enticing people in the 50s, 60s, it makes a lot of sense. But in the 80s, a lot of kids, desensitized or whatever, like it might take the creepy ass clown to
you're saying the 2017 is based on the 80s. I thought it was based on the 90s, just because the whole New Kids on the Block, because that was a 90s band. Like that was
it's in 1989. It's primarily the end of the 80s, but it's still that 80s feel. It still gives you that 80s.
Oh, okay. That was the thing I was confused about.
No, it's 1989, and then so Chapter 2, 27 years later, will be 2016? 2016. I can do math, right? Yep, there we go. That's right. Math. Okay, so anything else we want to say about the 1990 miniseries?
Giving recognition to Jonathan Brandis as being one hell of an actor at the age of 14 when he took that role. It's a shame what happened to him, but he was one hell of an actor. And you can
I actually don't know this story. What happened?
He committed suicide.
Yeah, he committed suicide.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it's pretty sad. He was going through a lot of stuff, but like, I mean, you get the cast alone, the kid cast alone. You have Seth Green, who is a comedic genius, playing Richie, which is pretty much foreshadowing his own career, kind of like if you think about it. I mean, there's actually a funny story because they used with Henry and Mike that whole scene where they use the N-word. The entire time of that scene, he was apologizing the entire time. I just think the cast kind of took it to a level. The kid cast took it to a level that you didn't think was going to happen with kids. So,
for sure. All right, well, let's move on. We've already touched on it a little bit, but the 2017 version of it, directed by Andy Muschietti. We've got a lot of great child actors in here. we got Jack Dylan Grazer, who is now in Shazam. We've got the kid from whatchamacallit, from Stranger Things. Yeah, that played Richie.
Finn Wolfhard.
Yeah, Finn Wolfhard, thank you. And then of course Bill Skarsgård. It's just like it's a really good cast of kids going along with Bill. Like
I mean, also you have Chosen Jacobs. If you watch Y50, he's in that show.
I do not, but there you go. But going into this movie, so I had already read the book. I had the memory of the miniseries, and I think actually I had watched just the kid portions. So like mainly like the first hour and a half of the miniseries before going to see this. And I just remember being so hyped to go and see this because I thought the trailers were great. I was excited to see this adapted. It was getting great reviews. Wound up loving it. One of my favorite films of 2017. I think Bill Skarsgård is a treasure as Pennywise, and all the kids fantastic. I love the coming of age story and the humor inside of this like super scary movie. So like I loved it.
I love the kid cast except for Finn Wolfhard's Richie. I didn't like his Richie at all.
Oh, really?
I thought he was trying way too hard. Like,
he is the trash mouth.
Maybe it's because I love him in Stranger Things. Like you can't compare to Seth Green in that role, the young Richie. I'm sorry. He did his jokes, and it just didn't work for me. But the rest of the cast was great, exception of him.
Wow, see, I really liked Finn Wolfhard. I thought he brought a lot of the good humor, but he also brought the feels when he needed to. I thought he did a very good job. I think my favorite of the kids though is actually Jack Dylan Grazer, right? Is his name? Yeah. Who's now in Shazam. I thought he was excellent. As Eddie, right? Yeah, and just like this whole, he has a lot of very like good serious moments. He has my favorite moment with Pennywise, which is in the house after he like breaks his arm and Pennywise comes up and is like slapping him and the Dave Fair. Yeah, like I love that whole scene. I think he's really funny with the when he confronts his mom about the medicine and he's like, "Do you know what these are? These are gazebos," and he throws them like. There's a lot of heart in this movie. I think that's the big thing is like it's scary, but it's also got a lot of really, really good heart in it, and that's why I love it. What about you, Doug?
So this by far matches the book material tone-wise. That was a big thing for me. You have a lot of the moments that you couldn't really do on screen, and they found ways to make it come to life. Speaking of Bev, Sophia Lillis, she did a phenomenal job. When she finally stands up to her father, it's so potent. You can tell that there was things done to her without actually having to show you the things that were done to her.
He's almost scarier than Pennywise at parts in the movie.
There's a few key points that I really wish that they would have touched upon a little bit more. But her going into this scene, her father, in the book, he literally checks her hymen throughout the book, just to make sure that she is That's daddy's little girl. And it's something that I felt the most uncomfortable watching that scene, because I was just like, they brought something that I read on a page and brought it to a horrifying standstill.
Yeah.
Sophia Lillis is one of my favorite people that were in this cast. And I'm actually sorry, Rich. I really love Finn Wolfhard as Trash Mouth because he literally is that way in the book. That is the Trash Mouth. Trash Mouth talks like an asshole, and it's perfect.
Well, the thing is, he might talk like it, but Finn does not pull it off well. I don't think Finn pulled it off.
That's where I disagree with you. I think it's very much a realistic. Me and my friends talk like that when we were kids, and it was very realistic of me and my friends talking like that, and it reminded me of those things. For me, there are, like I said, a few scenes that I wish were different. Like you can't show the junkyard scene with Patrick and Henry. You can't, but you could show how he died Like, you could literally do that, and it would have been one of the most terrifying scenes that anybody has ever seen. So to cue you in, Rich, what happens is Henry, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but Henry, they do something together, and then basically Henry's like, if you ever tell anybody, I'll tell them about your fridge. And Patrick gets nervous. That's the only time you ever see Patrick nervous, because Patrick has killed his brother. He smothered his 2-year-old brother because his brother broke the rules and broke his schedule.
Is Patrick the main bully dude?
No, Patrick is not the main bully dude, but he's actually more scary than Henry and Pennywise put together.
In the movie, I believe Patrick is the one who goes into the sewer with like the little flamethrower. Okay. Yeah, that's the version of him. That's
the actor that played Henry, real quick, was phenomenal in this 2017. He was phenomenal. That scene where he kills his father, that was the most. I kind of felt bad for him at that point. Like,
that's the thing about Henry too, is like, I think that like Doug is absolutely right. Like in the book, Patrick is their relationship is befuddled, to say the best. But I mean, for purposes of the movie, it made sense of why you focus on Henry, because Henry ultimately, once we get to chapter 2, is vital. So you kind of need to focus on him in part 1. It makes sense. But go on, Doug, about what you were saying.
So with when you get Patrick's death, it's so gruesome, and Bev sees it happen, sees everything. She's there during the whole exchange between Henry and Patrick, and what happens is he goes to his fridge, opens it up, where all the animals that he's been killing over the years, where he's been stashing them, opens it up, and all these flying leeches come in and just suck him dry. So I think that's one of my favorite deaths in the entire novel, because it shows you that Pennywise doesn't care who it is. He's going to kill you and eat you. Per you talking about him killing his dad, Henry killing his dad, that's in the book, and it's just as graphic and gruesome. It's fantastic. I love that scene as well. I sound like a psychopath talking about how people get killed. But
no, it's a great scene when it cuts to like the to the TV screen, and Pennywise is like sitting there with all the kids like on the TV, like chanting along with the kill him or whatever. Like it's messed up. Like it's freaky stuff.
Like, that was the one thing I got confused when it comes to Henry for the next movie. Like, we're going on, like, I thought he died, like, at the end of that when he fell away. It looked like he died from that well. Like,
that is a big question that I'm interested to see where they play with it, because without giving, because you haven't read but you've seen the miniseries, so you get where it's going. But he ends up in a psych ward, and Pennywise basically hypnotizes or kind of gets him to try to kill more of the Losers Club. Also, along with is it Tom, right?
Tom Rogan,
So they that's like where he kind of comes into play in the adult part of it. But yeah, at the end of the first one, when he gets knocked down the well, I'm like, this motherfucker's dead. Like, there's no way you're surviving that. So it will be interesting to see the flashback there, I would assume, because in the book, like, Henry is the one who confesses to all of the murders. He's the one who's like, I killed Georgie, I killed this person, I killed my father, I killed everyone. Everyone who's dead, I did it. And that's why he's in the psych ward. So it will be interesting to see where they go with that.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I'm excited to see where they go with it. I kind of know where they're going to go with it. I know what they're going to say. The only thing that I wish that they would do a little bit more is that he comes out with the pitch white hair, because that's like a big focus of what happens. The fear happens, and it just draws the life out of you. That's what the deadlights are supposed to be. They draw the life out of you.
Well, and they could definitely show that in a flashback of him at the bottom of the well, like Pennywise, like quickly, like maybe doing something to him that we didn't see in the first one. Who knows? We could get there. But yeah, we talked about Bill a little bit when comparing him to Tim Curry, but how do we feel as him as Pennywise overall? Because I think that he's fantastic, super super creepy. I want more of him, because unfortunately, just due to the way the character works, Pennywise is. I mean, he's the forefront, but he's also kind of secluded a lot of the time, and you don't really get a lot of him until the end of the movie. But I really, really enjoy him. Richard, overall, what are your thoughts on him?
I appreciate that he went for his own interpretation of Pennywise, at least, aside from Tim Curry, because everyone probably assumed when this movie came out, he would probably somewhat imitate Tim Curry's, but he did his own thing. And though I like Tim Curry's better, he did a really good job for what the movie was, and I thought he did it really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Doug, what about you?
So y'all know how I feel about the miniseries. I love Tim Curry. Tim Curry was not faithful to the book. Neither was the director. It's been notated that he's actually never read the book before he took on doing the movie or after the movie. I think he read it 2 years later after doing the movie. He was like, "Oh yeah, we didn't do that as faithful as we hoped to do." Bill Skarsgård nailed Pennywise from the book. The just overwhelming, just toweringness of Pennywise. Bill Skarsgård in the getup is like 6'6" with it all on, which is insane to see this man just tower over you. The scene where he literally, after Bev knocks out her dad and shows up and grabs her by the throat, I was like, oh shit, it's going down. It's going down. And I lost my brain in the theater. No, in all honesty, I think Bill was very much a representation of the book's Pennywise, the book's version of it, as a whole. So,
I 100% agree. 100% agree. Well, this next part, I was going to wait just a little bit longer, but we can kind of talk about it in conjunction with each other. Our anticipation leading up to It Chapter 2. First of all, I'm very excited. Like I said, the first one was one of my favorites of 2017. I'm going in. I haven't really enjoyed the trailers for this movie. They haven't really done it for me, but I'm still excited. It's 2 hours and 49 minutes long, which is oofta. The macaw over here is shaking her head in disapproval, but it's a long movie, but I'm excited because I want to go back into the world. I want to get more with the characters.
I mean, if you can survive a 3 hour and 2 minute movie, pretty sure you can do a 2:49.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. Yeah, exactly. So I'm super, super excited for it. Richard, what about you? Where's your
I'm super excited for it. I don't usually go to movie theaters for horror movies. I will be going for this movie because I really even though I've been praising the original, I love the 2017. The only thing I'm super bummed about, I was really hoping they would have cast Amy Adams as the adult Beverly, because Sophie looks like a kid Amy Adams. That would have been a perfect casting for the adult. But I'm sure Jessica Chastain will do fine as well. I'm sure she'll do great. I'm just saying, there was an opportunity for Amy Adams for this. And, they have a good cast, too. James McAvoy.
Yeah, James McAvoy is the big one for me. That's oh boy. And then
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader, thank you. Yeah, that's the one I was looking for. Doug, what about you?
Kind of same.
Before we went live, we all said how many times we were going to go see the movie, and I think I dropped some jaws when I said I'm going to go spend about 12 hours in a movie theater because I'm going to see this movie 5 times because I think this is going to be the adaptation close that I want. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a lot of clothes that people are going to want.
Sure.
But as a book fan, as a real big book fan, like I said, I read it once a year on average because I just love this book. I think I'm going to be really happy with it. I think a lot of the hype that's built up in the trailers are for people that know the scenes that are coming. Sure. I know that you read it once, Tim, but the first trailer, as soon as we saw Mrs. Kirsch, we knew shit was going down.
Oh yeah.
And the second trailer, I loved it. I also went to Yeah, I can read. I can read, Jay. It's surprising.
Dude, Jason's
So-
insulting Doug left to right today.
I can read. It's surprising. For me though, it's when you see just how well these actors in the trailer are portraying. I went to go see the reissue of it when it came out. They
Yeah,
did
just
the
a few
whole
weeks ago,
reissue
yeah.
with the 8-minute preview.
So what
And
was that 8-minute preview by?
it's the almost complete scene of the Jade of the Orient. So
Okay.
and it's intense. I don't want to ruin it for people because I want them to see it and have a clear mind. But I thought it was really intense, and the chemistry between the cast is phenomenal. I think it's great. I don't understand some people's reviews because I saw the 8 minutes and I was like, this is them. This is
Yeah.
them being them. Like, you either don't understand the source material or you don't understand that they haven't seen each other for 27 years and they're just getting reacquainted. And
Yeah.
it's like they're falling into their old grooves. And I'm like, that's them. Like, it's perfect. So like I said, I'm going to probably rate this a lot higher, and my expectations are going to get met and exceeded because that's what the 2017 did movie for me. It exceeded my expectations.
The only thing I'm wondering is if they're going to actually close, make this like the closing movie, or are they going to leave it open-ended for a possible another movie or a prequel? Because
No, they've already, Barbara Muschietti and Andy has also said this is the close. There might be something working prequel wise, but he's like, I don't really want to do that. I don't want it. Like, I want the story
I don't want
of
it
the
either.
Losers Club, and that's it.
But
Close me out.
sometimes executives and companies get greedy.
Well, and that's the thing
And
is,
they want to milk it for what it's worth.
I read that that Muschietti is working on like a supercut. So it'll be both movies with extra footage kind of like stitched together. So it's like a 5-hour Return of the King extended edition type thing where it's both movies stitched together with extra footage. I'd fucking go see that. Like,
right?
Absolutely.
So there's 4 scenes, 4 scenes total that Andy said he wants to shoot that he hasn't shot yet to go in the supercut. So I'm like, I will sit in a movie theater for 5 hours gladly and watch this damn movie.
Just to get 4 scenes.
Just give me it for 4 scenes and to see what your brilliant mind comes up with that you give me a supercut like that. I will go to the movies. I went to the movies for our 8-minute damn preview. You think I wouldn't go for the supercut? Like, absolutely.
It'll be super duper extra cut where at the end, right when the clown's about to get the kids, you see Captain America come in and be like, "This isn't Asgard," and then pops up trying to return stones.
That I would watch 100%. But I think it's safe to say we're all very excited for It Chapter 2. Guys, any closing thoughts about it? Anything coming up with it?
I kind of curious. Like, obviously they're probably not. It'd been cool to see some of the original cast come back for the cameo. Obviously some of them can't come back because a couple of them are dead. But you can bring back a couple people from the original as cameos in different parts.
Well, yeah, and I don't remember if this was a rumor, if this is actually true or not, that Tim Curry was actually in the room for the like in a chair for the Richie with all the clowns.
No. It was a Pennywise kind of like standing clown. It looked exactly like Pennywise.
But it wasn't.
I was going to bring up the actress that played Eddie's mother was really creepy. She was disturbing as hell.
All the adults are supposed to be that way. That's literally you have Ben that got cut open and asked for help, and they just drove by. By.
Go ahead.
Yeah, for me, like I said, I'm going in. My expectations are high. I can't help it. It's like I said, it's one of my favorite books. People are like, you shouldn't go in with so high expectations. I'm like, why not? The 2017 movie, I went in with high expectations and got them just overwhelmingly went past it. I loved everything about the movie. I'm gonna do the same thing with the 2019, Chapter 2. I'm gonna do it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm gonna go see it tomorrow. Hopefully have a review up on Tim Loves Movies sometime Thursday. And then I'm going to see it again at some point with Maggie over the weekend. And so I'm very excited. Richard had to run away for a second. Maybe he'll come back to give a plug at the end. But no, I'm super excited. I love the cast. I hope it all works out. You liking that 8-minute preview, that gets me very, very excited. So yeah, it should be a pretty good time. We are going to welcome back Richard right at the end. Okay, so not a problem, not a problem. All right, so guys, thanks for watching. This has been a fun episode talking about Stephen King's It. Got a couple people who are way more passionate about it than I am, but that's awesome. That's what it's all about. So closing thought or closing plugs. Richard, do you have anything you want to plug, or where can the people find you?
They can find me on Facebook under Richard Schwartz, YouTube under External Void. I just do mobile gaming, and they can find me driving around Los Angeles because I got nothing better else to do.
Rock on. And Doug, what about you?
Yeah, I'm over at Take 3 with my brand new show called Bloody Manor. And it's funny that we're talking about it today because I'll be talking about it over there, including the book predictions that we made. I had a huge, amazing panel that joined me for that episode. It is the inaugural episode of Bloody Manor, so check that out on Take 3. As well as hosting and commissioning over at the Movie Debate Leagues. Keep an eye out for Tim's match coming up.
That is coming up very soon. That was a fun match. Yeah, and you can find me here at Multiplex. Also over at my channel, Tim Loves Movies, reviewing movies over there. But here I help run Fandom Fights with Kaleb Koho. Both of you guys, I think, Doug, yeah, you have a match coming up or you just had one air. I don't remember. There's a lot going on. You guys are both doing things in Multiplex, and it's fun. Richard, I know for sure you have a team match coming up. A lot of good stuff. But be sure to hit that like button, hit subscribe if you enjoyed this. We put a lot of hard work into these videos. Thank you for watching them. But yeah, until next time, guys, thanks so much and have a good one.